Roger. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today. Looking forward to learning from you.
Thank you for hosting me. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here today and talk to you and all of your subscribers.
Well, thank you. So, my first question on the podcast is always what your favorite brand is and why.
As a marketing guy, that's quite a question. I got lots of brands that I am fascinated by and interested in. So picking a favorite is difficult, but I'll rep the Oregon favorite here right now. We live in Portland, and I was at the Oregon coast a couple of weeks ago, and I've been a huge fan of Tillamook cheese since before we moved here. I mean, it's really good cheese. And then when we did get here and we got access to the super special stuff, then oh my goodness, it's worth the trip out to the coast. And their branding is lovely. It is a dairy co-op. It's a very successful co-op out here, and I think that the thing that makes a co-op work often is branding and marketing.
Absolutely. I'm excited to hear about this extra special stuff, but yeah, I will definitely need to take a trip out there.
Delightfully well-aged cheese. It's beautiful stuff.
Oh, nice. So, with your group's school auction, if you don't mind explaining what that is and how it came about.
My other favorite brand. Started a company about 20 years ago, and what we are is a software company, and we provide software that helps small, volunteer-driven nonprofit organizations put on fundraising events. We generally tend not to target the big American Red Cross, American Cancer Society. I would much rather work with a local congregation or a local school or a local humane society that is taking care of things in their community. Oftentimes these organizations are volunteer led, if not, completely 100% volunteer driven. And that means that, they're kind of professional at very little about running a nonprofit. They have other jobs, they have other responsibilities. They're doing this in their volunteer time. And I believe that honoring that by giving them the tools to be as amazing as they can possibly be in those small amount of hours that they can put on their volunteer hat is a mission worth having. So our software gets deployed all over the place, but the classical example would be if you put your kids through elementary school, there was probably an auction every year or some sort of dinner kind of thing that you got together. Our software would have been the IT infrastructure underneath the event. Invisible bones,
Yeah, absolutely. So, what made you think of this in the first place?
I was a PTA president. I was a PTA president who had had a long career in the software industry. I'd been working in the software industry for about 20 years at that point. This was back in the mid 2000s, and I got laid off from my tech job, but I was still PTA president.
Oh.
So I did what anybody does in these situations, and I got little business cards printed up that said consultant on them. And you throw those around. And one of the gigs that I kind of landed with a friend was she was going to run for school board here in Portland, and she wanted me to help be her campaign manager. Sure, why not? We could do that. It's just a school board campaign. And along the way, I got to a meeting of the Portland Schools Foundation where they were talking about strategies for fundraisers and how they wanted to put together group buying programs so that they could get a group rate for venues and caterers and things like that. And I thought this was kind of interesting. So I went up afterwards and I said, hey, I'm the PTA president at this school and I'm a software guy. Do you guys know anybody that you have a buying program for software guys and for software? And they said, no, but you know what? There's these guys across town and they built some auction software for the Irvington school auction. Why don't you go talk to them? I was like, all right, maybe I'll get it for free. Who knows? And I go talk to them and they figure out that I have been in software sales and marketing. And they tell me, hey, you can have the software for your school if you join the company. I was like, oh, okay. And thus started a beautiful thing. We incorporated shortly thereafter and been on our way ever since.
Oh, good for you. And obviously a very good parent being a PTA president and being so dedicated to your kids' schools.
Absolutely. My personal philanthropy tends to be education oriented, education and veterans affairs. There's another group that I personally joined the board of that builds schools in rural Cambodia, which is where my son is adopted from. So education is really important, and it's something that we don't tend to fund adequately in the United States. And I don't think that that's necessarily going to change anytime soon. So it is incumbent upon parents that care about such things to get in the trenches and help supplement. And one of the beautiful things about the gala fundraising auction,
Mhm.
it's not the sexiest type of fundraising in the nonprofit world, but it's something that just about any group can do. You don't really need high-end fundraising talent in order to pull one off. I like to say the Little Rascals could have pulled off a fundraising auction. It's like Spanky, go get some items, and Darla, go sell some tickets. It'll all come together.
Yeah.
And so it's an important tool for those smaller nonprofits that are a little closer to the ground there. One of the reasons, though, that I'm kind of trying to find places to talk about this year, and I was interested in coming on your podcast to talk about, is that we're in a really odd time for charitable fundraising right now. It's been a very stressful year, and it kind of all cascades down from the review and suspension and cancellation of government grants to larger nonprofits. You might think that if you're a grassroots nonprofit that doesn't have any government grants, like that's not necessarily going to affect you, but it puts pressure downstream on all of the other funders, the private foundations, the private philanthropy, that is going on out there in the world. And in times like that, one of my rallying cries is don't look down on events. Obviously, if you know a lot of really old people with really fat wallets and you can go talk to them and get them to leave you money in their will, do that, because that's great. That works. It's really great. But when there's pressures on all of those sources, you need to spread your fundraising out a little bit, and you need to probably dig into the community that you are serving to not only ask them to support you, but also to show them that you're still active and you're still fighting in the trenches.
Absolutely. So with your brand, it seems like you could sort of get political or start taking sides or whatnot, because obviously there are issues central to schools and other groups or whatnot. How do you decide from a marketing and a branding standpoint whether you want to take a stance or whether you don't?
Boy, this is a tricky one. I will tell you what our company policy has been.
Mm-hmm.
That if you're running a legal nonprofit, if the IRS has seen fit to give you a 501c3 tax ID number,
Mm-hmm.
we're willing to talk to you.
Nice.
We have taken on customers that have run auctions that have included items in them that we don't think should be included in fundraising auctions. If it is legal for them to do so in their state, if they have the appropriate permits, and if it follows all the regulations of the rest of the vendors we work with, we're pretty willing to work with anybody at that point. There are times when we have had to make decisions in the other direction. Generally, we're slow to do so, but there are times. We worked with a group last year that triggered enough blowback, not last year, a few years ago, triggered enough blowback that we were subject to denial of service attacks. And as a result, and at that point, we made a mutual agreement with this customer that although they were legal and doing things legally, it was dangerous for our business to continue to work with them. Personally, this is my stance as well. One of the reasons why I say this is tricky is that it's not a universally held position within the company. This is something that we have to talk with our staff about every 6 or 8 months. We need to sit down and we need to get new feedback from them. And we need to touch base again and again and again. There is a perception, which I think is overblown, that most nonprofits and most charities tend to skew leftward. I don't think that that's as true as people think it is, but it does mean that a lot of the people that gravitate towards working with us have their own opinions on these things. It's a tricky thing, though. I believe in contested democracy. So I believe that we absolutely have to have options at all times, and I've held that position for my entire life. I believe that people who have robust legal points of view should be allowed to express those.
That's great. And it's smart that you guys are checking in with the staff on a regular basis, because you're right. Obviously, if you make a policy 2020, all of a sudden come 2025, the world is vastly different. So that's very smart.
The world is vastly different. And I'm not going to say that we have never screwed up on that. There have been times where our staff has come to us and blindsided us because we were dumb, frankly. But part of learning from your mistakes is listening to the people who slap you upside the head and tell you you're being an idiot.
Yes, it is. Which is a valuable marketing point, because you're right. If you just listen to the people who tell you they love your brand, obviously you're going to get a certain kind of feedback versus the type that say, either A, I don't understand it, or B, I don't like it. Now you've got a new set of feedback to be dealing with.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
What kind of groups do you feel like you best work with? Is there like a certain size, or either it's school versus something else?
The group that's kind of in the center of the bullseye would be either our public school, elementary school parent group, PTA, HSA, PTO, parent club, whatever you want to call it. Those are the customers that we were when we started the company.
Mm-hmm.
So we resonate with that deeply.
Yep.
They are among the majority of the customers that we work with, so we tend to understand their needs really well. And I don't mind playing to a niche. I love niche marketing. It's a lot of fun. And when you can say, I can meet your needs here, and I understand, okay, I can't count on anybody who is on the PTA this year to be on the PTA next year. I can't count on so many things that happen with 100% volunteer organizations. However, we've learned how to work around all of that stuff. So I love those groups. That extends out to like local churches, local
Mm-hmm.
congregations. They tend to fall into the same bucket, a geographically concentrated group of people who share a certain set of values and want to support that.
Mm-hmm.
Young Life chapters, we've got one of the deals I'm proudest of is we got a national deal with Young Life. So when they're getting together after school to do their community service, et cetera, we're helping them raise money for those programs.
Oh, very nice.
Feels fantastic.
So
And of
how?
course, should the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society come to me and throw a bunch of money at me, I would take their money and I would work with them, but that's
Mhm.
not who I'm hunting.
Got it. Understood. So, as far as how a group were to get involved with you, does it just take one of the members then explaining what their needs are and then you guys affiliate, or how does it work?
We've got a system that seems to work pretty well, which is that anybody who's interested can go to our website, which is schoolauction.net. It's not plural, it's not a .com, schoolauction.net. And you can sign up for a free trial there. And during the free trial, it's crippled. You can't actually run your auction. But what you can do is you can set up your auction software. You can start entering items in. You can kind of set up ticket sales most of the way. You can share it with the other members of your committee because everybody's got a committee. I'll
Yeah.
tell you, everybody's got a committee and everybody's voice needs to be heard. So, let them see it too, let them touch it. And then if the committee has decided that it's worth learning more, maybe you sign up and I demo it for you and I tell you all the things that you haven't found so far.
Mhm.
And then at the end of that, if you're convinced, you pay for a subscription, we remove the trial restrictions, you keep rolling with the work you've already done.
Very nice. So, how are you guys, if at all, embracing AI?
Cautiously, but we have implemented our own customer support chatbot
Nice.
trained only on our documentation, only on our stuff. So it's not likely to give actively harmful answers.
Great.
So far, all of the feedback has been great on it, better than expected. But I am telling all my prospective customers, you tell me how this works. You call me after your event and say your AI was great, and it was really helpful, or it wasn't. There are opportunities that we are starting to work on that would employ more agent type functions, agentic AI. Really interesting to see what is surfacing and being made available and what's not. So we got our eyes on it.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So, for any group who might be deciding to themselves, we need to organize and we need to get our message and our branding stronger, what kind of advice would you have for them?
So local groups like the ones that I like to work with, and we're going to help
Yes.
them improve their branding. I'll talk about it in the context of branding an event.
Mm-hmm.
Branding an event fundraiser. I think that if you want to make this successful, this is a multi-year process. You have to build a fundraiser over at least 2 or 3 years because you have to set a culture first in your community that you're going to have one. First of all, you absolutely have to have that starter event, and it may not do as well as you need it to, but whatever. But you're starting to set the culture. We're going to get together once a year. We're going to commune together. This is going to be a barn raising. We're going to get together. There's going to be these types of things there. Along the way, you're also developing relationships with vendors, item donors, etc. in your neighborhood. They're key sources for helping improve the brand because, if you're going to say, form a partnership, a sponsorship with a local restaurant that's going to cater your event, oh my gosh, now you've got their brand that you can use
Mm,
to help promote your event. It
mm,
becomes co-branded. Chances are their brand is got some juice in whatever community you're in, and you're using that to bring that along. You're also starting to set up traditions. And for a school community or a church community or some really tightly concentrated community, I
mm,
think these are wonderful. Let me give you some examples. There's a
mm,
category of a kind of thing you can do at a fundraising auction in order to raise money. We call them sign up parties. They're not biddable items. It's not an auction per se for an item. Instead, it's an opportunity to sign up for something fun that's going to happen in the future, fun or educational or whatever. But
mm,
in this case, you're not paying your fee to attend to this to the organization that's hosting the event in the future. You're paying it to the PTA. It's a fundraiser for the
ah,
PTA. PTA
mm,
keeps the money. You have these along, and I tend to tell people you really want to try to find the good party people in your community and try to put something together that's not only going to be fun this year, but
mm,
that's going to have legs year over year over year. So I tend to donate when my kid was still in school at all of the school auctions, and
mm,
now for my Rotary Club, I donate a pig roast. It happens at my house on July 4th. It's $35 a head to attend. You pay the money to my Rotary Club, and then you get to come by, and we have a rollicking good time.
oh,
And then you know what happens after that?
mm,
When I go to announce next year's fundraiser for the Rotary Club,
mm,
I have a head start on ticket sales because there were 35 people in
mm,
my house that had a rockin' good time. We had so much fun. And they
mm,
know that if they want to come to that again, they got to come to this again. They got to come here in order to sign up to do that thing again. And that helps you with ticket sales. That
mm,
helps you with the branding on the event. It helps people understand what the event is for.
mm.
Yeah, it's for buying some stuff that you probably don't need and may not even want, but it's
Yeah,
also for signing up for these fun events, and it's also for contributing to the scholarship fund. There's a variety of different things you do there. You're definitely going to want to have a web presence for the event itself. I think this should be something that can be a section of your organization's existing website, but probably works best as its own standalone that you link to. That becomes a place where you can go hog wild promoting the event itself without having to worry about what kind of carryover might go back to, your general branding efforts.
yes. Wow. Uh,
Sometimes the fact that you're holding an event this year and the theme is Roman orgy, somehow you may not want that to reflect back on your general PTA branding.
yeah. Yeah,
So
I could understand that one.
yeah.
That might need some crisis PR. So, do you feel like then with these kind of events, are the people best suited for it really people who have tech forward jobs, or can you work with just about anybody and they'll still be able to put on these kind of events?
That's our challenge. That one is totally in my lap here. If I needed to work with tech forward people, I wouldn't have a business.
Mm, fair.
So it is on me to take and make available a technology tool that will help make them more efficient, help make them more productive, and doesn't require an insane learning curve. Most of the time when I'm talking to a new organization that we're not working with, probably 85% of the time, they will tell me at some point, I'm not very good with computers. Okay. Are you committed to your community? Are
Yeah.
you good at, are you the kind of volunteer that stands up and says, yes, I'll do this? Then you're somebody I can work with. Fine. I'll fill in gaps. We can do that. The other thing that we see as part of our mission, we don't necessarily get paid for it,
Mm,
but it is definitely part of the mission is that we feel the need to constantly be up to date on what our current best practices and be communicating those out into the community. Education is a huge part of what we give away.
mm,
And we give it away to our customers and we give it away to people who are not our customers simply because it's really weird to know as much as we know about fundraising auctions. It's really kind of odd. You don't really want to get stuck sitting next to me on an airplane. Well, let us hold on to all of that information. You can come and you can borrow it from us when you need it, and you can apply it to your events and take the pieces that work for you. And we want to help you grow your event.
great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to explain all this. And anybody, if you have any questions, obviously you're a resource. So thank you for being that.
Absolutely. Come visit our website, schoolauction.net. My name's Roger. You'll find me.